of Commerce to lead us in a moment of prayer. Sunita ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of Holy One is understanding. Heavenly Father, we thank and praise you for your providential help and guidance. Today, we seek your blessings, gifts, and grace upon all of us gathered here on the first day of FDP program. We entrusted all the members into your loving care as we begin the path of exploring innovative teaching and learning methods may be led by your spirit so that this program enhances the research skill of all the participants. Kindly bless the resource person to explore his knowledge on us. In this digital era, we may not sacrifice God's given human skills at the altar of technology. May this program be an eye opener to the pressing needs of higher education and how we face our challenges. This we pray, we make in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Sunita ma'am, for your heartfelt prayer. We are grateful for your spiritual guidance. Dear all, good evening. On behalf of Patrician College of Arts and Science, management and officials, PG and Research Department of Commerce Shift to 1, it is my proud privilege to welcome you all for our Faculty Development Program on Advanced Techniques in Research Methodology, Day 1. I am Dr. Vaidegi T, Assistant Professor of Commerce, as your Master of Ceremony. I'm excited to guide us through our day of growth, collaboration, and enhancement. Welcome and thank you for joining us on this important occasion. Dear esteemed faculties and research scholars, now it's my pleasure to invite our head Department of Commerce, Shift 1, Dr. Unica ma'am, to join us for a moment of felicitation. Unica ma'am.
Thank you, Vaidegi ma'am. Good evening, one and all present here on this virtual platform. My special greetings to today's resource person, Dr. Vijayanaran sir. Ladies and gentlemen, those who are gathered on this virtual platform, it's my proud and great moment to felicitate on this day 1 of 7-day International FDP on Advanced Techniques in Research Methodology. As we know, the research is a key success of every nation in general and every individual in particular. Especially, we the academician will progress only when the research is done on a regular basis. Knowing the importance of research, knowing the secret success of the research, we, the PG and Research Department of Commerce, has come out with the FDP on the topic Advanced Techniques in Research Methodology. 7 days are going to be loaded with 7 dimensions of this FDP. And being today the day 1, our resource person will give the insight about preparing data for analysis. Thank you, Vijayanaran sir, for your overwhelming and instant response to our invitation. I'm sure our participants are really going to enrich themselves by your knowledge. And I also appreciate the coordinators of this FTP, Dr. Vaidegi ma'am and Dr. Chellamal ma'am. Your hard work is really a tremendous, and we may see the success in the forthcoming days. I also congratulate all the members of the department for your support and coordination. And my special thanks for all the participants for entrusting and registering for this FDP. Once again, I welcome and I greet you all on behalf of PG and Research Department of Commerce. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Unica, ma'am. Your leadership and dedication have been instrumental in shaping the success of our department. Thank you, ma'am. Now, it is an honor to introduce our esteemed resource person for today's faculty development program. Now, Dr. Shaini ma'am, Assistant Professor of our Commerce Department, will introduce our resource person. Shaini ma'am.
Thank you, Vaidehi ma'am. Good evening, all. It gives me an immense pleasure to introduce and welcome today's resource person, Dr. Vijay Narayanan. Dr. Vijay Narayanan, working as your assistant professor, Department of Commerce in DG Vaishnav College, Chennai. He has been qualified with doctorate in commerce and specialized in data analytics with a postgraduate diploma in software-based statistical analysis. He was bestowed University 4th rank at MCOM from University of Madras. He holds UGC National Eligibility Test in Commerce and Tamil Nadu's State Eligibility Test in Commerce and Management streams. He has proficiency and hands-on experience in SPSS software for more than 12 years. Dr. Vijay Narayanan is a life member of various professional bodies like Indian Commerce Association, Indian Accounting Association, Indian Society for Probability and Statistics, Indian Academic Researchers Association, Commerce and Management Association. He has been the external examiner for PhD Viva was examination at Bharatidasan University. He was a member of Board of Studies for PG Board in Commerce at Guru Nanak College and Gordon City University and has been a resource person delivering guest lectures at various colleges and institutions like Indian Economic Association, GSSS Women's College, Mysore, Cambridge Institute of Technology, Bangalore, and Women's Christian College, Chennai, on advanced statistics and research methodology for PG, MPhil, and PhD level students. He was also a visiting faculty at BSc Institute Limited, Chennai, for quantitative techniques courses in global financial markets professional program. 35 research papers at national level and 7 international papers are added to his credit, of which 30 papers have been published in Scopus journals and UGC Care List A with ISSN numbers. He has also acted as a resource person in various conferences, seminars, workshops, and as panelist in panel discussions. His interest areas include human capital formation, skill gap analysis, and inferential statistics. I welcome again Dr. Vijay Narayanan, sir, for today's session. Welcome you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Can I share the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now we will hand over the session to our resource person, Dr. Vijay Narayanan, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, I hope it is visible now and my audible. I think I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You are audible and the screen is visible,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you. So thank you so much for inviting me for the 7 days FDP program. And my session will today explore more about how do we prepare the data for the analysis. Okay. In case if there is any technical snag or something like that, please do let me know. Okay. And if any questions are there, you can put it in chat box. Probably I'll try to answer everything at the last. So to start with, I always thank my gurus without whom I'm not here. So at this juncture, I would like to thank my guide and my alma mater, Dr. M.V. Arulalan, who was a former syndicate member, and his guru, Dr. M. Ranganathan, who was a former registrar and head of the Department of Commerce in University of Madras, and his guru, Dr. O.R. Krishnaswamy. And I also thank the current head of the department of my college, Dr. S. Seshadrinathan, sir, and authorities of Patrician College, Principal Geeta Rufus ma'am, HOD Unica ma'am, and the organizers Vaidegi ma'am and Chellama ma'am for calling me for this session. Thank you so much. And I have decided to take this session in this agenda. So I just wanted to start, basically with what are the scales, because I strongly believe, there are faculties here, there are research scholars over here, and we have been doing, PhD. Some might have completed PhD, but whenever we do a research, regardless of whatever the area that or the discipline that we come from, it may be from commerce, management, economics, or life science, whatsoever. Our main aim is always, that relies on the statistical part, because we fear about statistics, isn't it? What test to be used, whether should we go for a parametric test or a non-parametric test, what are the assumptions that we need to do, all these things. Okay, basically statistics will be a very difficult one if you don't understand the methodology. So I would today suggest more to focus on a robust, if you have a robust methodology, research methodology, then you need not fear about the statistics, because the statistics can be taken care. Okay, so that is my first thing which I wanted to say, because statistics by itself is not a big deal. Believe me, it is definitely not a big deal. It is a it is a thing that can be learned over a period of time. I once, when I started my research like 10 years before, I was not knowing ABC of statistics. But then when my professor told me have a strong research methodological background, you have justification for each and everything that you do, then you will know about statistics. Statistics will become easy. That is what the point that he made, and I started doing that, and statistics was very easy for me. Okay, because now, say for example, where to apply t-test, where to apply factor analysis, these are some of the questions, and some guides will say, see, you apply one factor, one multiple regression test, one structural equation modeling, and so on and so forth. Okay, now, is it really we can apply all these statistical tools that we know? Is there a necessity for it? Is there an objective which we have framed in our study? Okay, so based on the objective only, everything is decided. I always normally used to say statistics are like a the mode of transport. Okay, now I have to go to a destination which is, say for example, 10 or 20 kilometers. Okay, I can use my two-wheeler or I can use my four-wheeler. But if I want to go to Delhi, or if I want to go to any other long distance, okay, then I should either choose train or flight or something like that. Okay, since because I have a two-wheeler, I cannot use my two-wheeler to go to a long distance, right? So statistical techniques are simply like a mode of transport. What is your destination actually decides what kind of a statistical technique. So to understand that better, we should have a strong research methodological background. So today, I'm going to discuss, once you collect the data or on the process of collecting the data, okay, from that process or from that point of collecting the data till you start doing the analysis, there are some interventions in it. So I'm going to focus on that. Okay, I'm not going to focus on the preparation of questionnaire, because that is not my scope of the study for today. That is a prerequisite program. Okay, probably if I get a chance, probably in another session, I'll speak about what are the do's and don'ts. But from the time of data collection till it is analyzed, okay, or before the time it is started to analyze, there are certain process. We are actually preparing the data for the analysis. So these are my boundaries, or these are my scope. So first, let me define the scope for today's session, and based on that, I'll move. So I'll have a prelude of what basically a statistics is, and then I'll go for validity of data, and then I'll say the steps in preparing the data for analysis, and I'll come to the data reliability. Okay, and I'll speak about few normality tests, and then I'll wind up the session for today. Okay, so to start with, see, in generally statistics, we can divide into two. Basically, I have divided here into three. The second and third statistics, whatever that I have given here, can be together. It is called inferential statistics. See, the first one is called descriptive statistics. The second one is called inferential statistics. inferential statistics can further be classified into predictive and prescriptive. Okay, I'll tell you what all these things. Descriptive statistics, as the name suggests, it describes. Now, for example, if I want to say there are 131 participants which I'm actually looking at, there are 3 chat messages which has arrived now. Okay, so these are just descriptive statistics. And if you look at in my room, I have 1 AC, 1 fan, 2 lights are running. Okay, so these are the descriptive statistics which describes what exactly it is. There is nothing that new that you find out of it. Okay, so that is descriptive statistics. It is the most simplest form of statistics that that will help us to understand what exactly we have it. Okay, and the next one is the inferential statistics, which can be again further divided into two. One is predictive statistics, the other one is prescriptive statistics. What is predictive statistics? We predict the future based on the past data. For example, they say we may have this heat wave in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu for the next 10 days. Then how do they say this? How do they predict this? Because based on the past data for the last 10 days or last 1 month, they are predicting what is going to happen in the future. And now it is election time. You can see there are plenty of they say they are researchers and they predict which party is going to win. They conduct some survey and then they say this party may win this much percentage, this party will get this much of percentage of share, right? So that is a predictive statistics. Okay, so I have also given some examples. So that is a predictive statistics. And the next one is prescriptive. Prescriptive goes a point beyond the predictive statistics, which means if I know what is going to happen, okay, so what is the optimal action that I can take out of it? For example, I transport my goods from here to Punjab, let's say, in a container lorry. Okay, so sometimes any undue failures may happen. So what I do, I take an insurance policy so that if something happens, if the vehicle is not reaching the destination, if it has got fired, okay, something like that, then my risk is covered. Okay, so that is a prescriptive, as how the doctor prescribes. What is that we do? We go with a high fever. Okay, that high fever is not a disease, it is a symptom. Then he asks us some questions, some standard questions, right? Like how many days you have these symptoms and other things. And based on that, he prescribes some medicines to us, right? So in simple words, if I want to say, descriptive statistics is about what is there and what has happened actually. Predictive statistics is what may happen in the future. It is not what will happen in the future. It is what may or what might happen in the future. And if you know what is that going to happen and what is the best action that you can take in order to control the losses or in order to maximize the profit, that is prescriptive statistics. So that is what is the best alternative action that you can go through from the inferential statistics. Am I audible and is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So this is the basics that I wanted to start with. Now, before I go into, I'll touch upon this area alone, which is very, very important. These are the measurements of scale. What is a measurement of scale? Very simple. You use any statistical technique or you use any observational method or any structured questionnaire, not unstructured questionnaire, whatever it is. I request not to the participants not to mark anything on the screen because I see some scribbling. Please, I request. So any the questionnaire that we use, any scales that we use can be classified in 4 different scales: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio scale. Okay, nominal scale, as the name suggests, it just nominates something. A number is representing something. For example, I have given female as 1, male as 0. Okay, I can do the ulta also. I can mark female as 0 and male as 1 also, because the number do not have any value. Please understand, in terms of nominal scale, the number do not have actually any value. There is no unit of value. Okay, 1 represents female, 0 represents male. So I am just assigning a number to represent something. That is a nominal scale. And then in ordinal scale, there is an order. For example, I ask the audience, what is the socio-economic class that you come from? Low income, middle income, high income. There is an order. low income, middle income, high income. What is the educational qualification of yours? UG, PG, professional degree. Okay, so there is an order in it. Okay, an interval scale. In interval scale, there is a there is a clear cut order, there is a clear cut distance. All these four scales are categorized by three parameters. You can see it here: order, distance, and origin. In case of nominal scale, there is no order, there is no distance, there is no origin. Please understand this. There is no order because you can ask male, female, or female, male. No order. And distance is also not there. And origin is also not there. Then in case of ordinal, there is an order. For example, low income, middle income, high income. There is an order. But the distance is not there. Distance, when I say, the distance between the low income and the middle income need not be the same as the distance between the middle income and the high income. So there is no distance, there is no origin. And in case of interval scale, there is an order, there is a distance. Now take example of this 5-point scale. Strongly agree as 5, strongly disagree as 1, okay, and agree as 4. Now there is an order from high to low. There is an order. There is also a distance. The distance between strongly agree and agree is the same distance as the distance between strongly disagree and disagree. Okay, so there is a distance, but there is no origin. What is this origin? Origin means it should have a starting point. Correct? Now, look at the last one, the ratio. All the measured scales. For example, I ask open category questions like, what is your age? Some may say 20, some may say 40. Okay, I'm not asking in groups, but I'm asking it in open question. So if somebody says that their age is 20 and someone says their age is 40, okay, it is 0 to 20 and 0 to 40. So I can say that the age, the 40 aged man or a woman, okay, is twice the age of the man of 20. Why? Because there is an order, there is a distance, and there is an origin point which starts as 0. 0 to 20, 0 to 40. Now I ask you, what is your mark? You say you have scored 80. And you ask my mark. I say I have scored 40. Okay. So you can very well say that you have scored twice than me. Why? Because my score of 40 is from the 0 to 40 and your score of 80 is from 0 to 80. So that is a ratio scale. Okay. So in ratio scale, there is an order, there is a distance, there is an origin. So first we need to understand these scales because these are very, very vital because this will actually tell us what kind of a test that we need to use. This nominal and ordinal scale, together they are called categorical scales. Basically, they are categories. Okay, for example, gender category, what is the income category, what is the educational qualification category, what is the monthly family income category, something like that. Okay, so these are categories. Okay, so these are called categorical scales, nominal and ordinal. And interval and ratio, they are called as measured scales. They are called as measured scales or numerical scales. Why I say it's because if you want to apply any parametric test, please make a note of this somewhere. If you want to make or if you want to apply a parametric test for your analysis, then your variables should be in either interval scale or ratio scale. If your variables are measured in nominal and ordinal, then you cannot apply parametric. You can go only for a non-parametric test. So based on these assumptions, I'll go further with preparing the data for analysis, but with one slide pending. Now, there are two things which normally in research methodology we say. One is validity, the other one is reliability. Okay, so I'm going to touch both validity and reliability. Okay, what is validity? See, it's called test of validity, test of reliability, and test of practicality. So if your measurements are good, robust, then it has to have these three things. One is your validity, reliability, and practicality. What is validity? How accurately you measure something which you wanted to measure. Okay, how accurately you measure something which you are intended to measure. For example, I wanted to measure the age of this audience. Okay, if I ask it in open question, it is better. I can also ask the same age in terms of group 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50. Okay, so both may be right, but depends on what kind of a statistical technique. Say, for example, I want to apply some parametric test. Then I need to ask age in an open question. If I ask it in group, then I cannot apply parametric test. Please understand this. Okay. So validity is how precisely you measure something. So in this, there are actually many things are there, but I'm touching upon only two dimensions of validity. One is content validity. The other one is construct validity. There is also something called face validity. Okay. So what is content validity? Is this question is appropriate for this study? For example, I wanted to study about the, let's say, job satisfaction of some employees. Okay. So I can ask, what is the level of management that you are in? How many years are you working in the same company? Okay, I can ask those questions. But if I ask what religion you belong to, what is your food habit, whether you are a vegetarian or non-vegetarian, okay, these questions are highly inappropriate, because the job satisfaction of the employee and your religion or your the food habits doesn't actually make sense, right? So those questions are invalid questions to ask in that. Okay, so content validity actually, it ensures whether the variables that you are going to ask in your study is appropriate or not. And that is why we have this, the PhD, they have this doctoral committee meeting once in every 6 months, because they see the progress. They also tentatively give you, when you put forth the tentative questionnaire, the doctoral committee members, basically they are the subject matter experts, right? They are the subject matter experts. They will tell you, okay, whatever that you are doing is right, or no, this is not right, you can proceed the other way. They will give you some direction. Okay, so content validity is being validated by the subject matter experts. And construct validity is how you ask that question. For example, I gave you the example of age. I can ask the age in open, or I can ask it in group. Depends upon what kind of a response that I would get it. For example, I want to measure the income of yours. Okay, if I ask, give the exact figure of your monthly income, will anybody give? Even I will not give if you ask me. Okay, so in that case, then I have to go to only groups. For example, 20 to 30,000, 30 to 40,000, 40 to 50,000, something like that. Okay, so construct validity is how you ask that question. The first one is what you ask. The second one is how you ask. So these two things are validity test. Okay. Now I'll go to the main topic of preparing the data for analysis. Now you have collected the data. See, you may now today, I think majority of us, we collected through Google Forms, right? Because we feel that is very easy, right? For our kind of social science studies, we feel that that is much better. Can I get some more answers in the chat box? Like, what are the other ways through which you collect the data apart from G Forms? I'm just waiting for the response. Mostly we go with G Forms for collecting the data. In person, thank you. There's one person which says in person, correct? That is the old way of Survey Monkey. Yes, that is right. Oh, thank you so much for the good response. Thank you so much. Yeah, questionnaire is the method through which we collected. Survey, questionnaire, okay, interview. Thank you so much for all the people who have responded. Thank you so much. So there are various ways in which through which we collect the data, correct? Doing it in person is the old method, because once we collect the data and then we actually manually enter all the values in Excel. And then we prepare that Excel for taking into further analysis into SPSS, or in Excel also we can do the analysis. So that is what the normal order of the day some 10 years before. Even I did the same when I did my PhD. Okay. But now we have everything. Like there are many like SurveyMonkey. We have G Forms and everything. So which has made our data collection so easy. But I believe that everyone will agree with me. In person, we can collect more. At least, we have the personal rapport. But in G Form or any other technical way of doing it, the response rate is very poor, isn't it? What is your opinion on that? Because I think, I wanted to do a survey for a research study. And I would have sent the Google form to at least 500 people. Not even 20 response I got it. Okay. I sent it in WhatsApp. I sent it in, many platforms, because the response rate is very poor. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for the responses. So now, once you collect the data, immediately we will not take it for analysis. There are certain ways, there are certain means which we need to do it. Okay. We need to validate the data. We need to clean that basically that process is called data cleaning. We call that as a data cleaning process. Okay. And those process are, we have data editing, data coding, data classification, and data tabulation. Basically, we deal with editing and coding. Classification and tabulation, we'll start with almost like a classification and tabulation are basically a kind of analysis that we have started. Okay. So I'm going to touch upon the data editing and the data coding, which is basically a kind of a data cleaning process, or a data, or you are preparing the data for the analysis. Okay. Right. We will see what is data editing. Data editing is the process of examining the data so that we will identify the errors, we will identify the omissions, and then we'll try to correct it. But again, saying this, this is a very tricky one, because let's say, for example, if some questions are not answered, okay, if some questions are not answered by the respondents, okay, and if you are filling it as a researcher, then that is not editing, that is a manipulation. That is a data manipulation, which means you respond or you answer for them, which is not right technically. Ethically also it is not right. Okay. So data editing, I'll tell you how to detect the errors. In this data editing, there are two ways. One, at the time of recording the data itself. Number two, at the time of analyzing the data. Okay. There are two ways which you can do. That's why I normally say, I think you can see the GFORM screen. Can you see the GFORM screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, let's say, for example, I teach my MCOM people, to do a simple project. For example, age. Okay. I want to start with some age. Okay. So when I choose the age, obviously, I don't want a multiple choice. I want a short answer. Now, I know that my study, let's say, for example, it is from 18 years to 70 years, 18 to 70 years. Okay. More than 70 years is not my cup of study. And less than 18 is also not, they are not the audience, targeted audience for my study. So in that case, what you can do, you can make all the questions required so that there will not be any blanks. Okay. And I can also response the validation, and I can say that number should be between 18 and 70. So because I do this, what happens? I'm avoiding people playing from it. Let's say, for example, someone says 95 as their age, but actually they are not 95. Now I control it at the time of preparation of the questionnaire itself. Okay. So you can validate the data. You can edit the data at the first shot itself. If you don't do this, then obviously you may get any number of answers. Some may say 5, some may say 10 as their age. Okay, whatsoever. But if you are particular about what your target audience, the age, let's say in this case 18 to 70, I can validate it. Okay. So the first one is this completeness. When you make all the questions mandatory to respond, okay, then probably you will not have any incomplete data. So you can avoid at the time of preparation of your questionnaire itself. Okay. So that's the first thing. Completeness should be there. I have come across certain instances, in my 10 years of research. You can see it here. I have given as an example. Marital status is not mentioned because they have skipped that question. Okay. And they would have responded for how many children that they have. In marital status, there won't be any answer, but number of children, they would have answered it. Or the family income, they may not have answered, but the sources of income, something like that. If these are the kind of a thing, this is not complete. Okay, the data is not complete. Okay, but you can at least deduce from this marital status and the number of children, if they have answered number of children. Okay, but again, now we cannot say anything because the culture is changing. So, earlier if I ask, I used to say it in the preparation of questionnaire. there is a concept called sequencing. Okay. I have seen certain questionnaires where, they say, what is your name, age, gender, and the fourth question is number of children's. Okay. And fifth, sixth, seventh will be some questions. And the last 10th question will be, are you married or not? Because when we see this, we actually literally laugh, because the fourth question speaks about the number of children and the 10th question speaks about whether are you married or not. Okay. This may not be suitable for Indian culture, but this is not, this is not something new, because in different cultures, the style is different. This questionnaire holds good probably in Western, but not for Indian. Okay. But I think now we are aping almost the Western culture. So probably even I cannot deduce because the number of children is being said, I cannot say that that the respondent is married or unmarried. I cannot say now, but it might have been a little okay earlier. So completeness should be there. The next one is accuracy. This is more important. I normally once I collect the data with my data or my candidates whomsoever, I actually cross verify few questions. For example, I would have asked a question: monthly income, monthly consumption. Okay, monthly income 10 to 20, 20 to 30, something like that, and monthly consumption. If the monthly consumption is more than monthly income, then probably there is some mistake. You can say that, sir, they might have got loan. Okay, but that may not be the case with all the time. Okay. And for example, you can see education level, they would have mentioned a school level, and they would have given managerial or executive level they are operating at. That again, that is not right. And in age group, they would have mentioned as 20 to 30. And if you ask in occupation, they would have said retired. Okay, which is again a discrepancy. Correct. It is not accurate. Okay. And marital status as single, and they would have responded for number of children. Okay. And have you done online shopping? They would have answered no, and they would have still responded for all the satisfaction variables of online shopping. Because when a person has not answered, not done the online shopping, then how does he can he answer the satisfaction of online shopping? So these are some of the accuracies that we need to check it. So this is about the data editing, which I'm actually referring to. One, that it should be complete in all the aspects. Two, it should be accuracy. The level of accuracy should be there. Okay. So how to do this? There are some practical guidelines which may have. See, in case the editor see whether all the questions are answered, all are properly recorded. Okay. When you prepare the questionnaire, if you take care of your questionnaire properly in G form, okay, you can avoid the inconsistencies. You can avoid the researchers, the bias. Okay, those things you can do. And do not, it is my personal request, do not fill the blanks which the respondent has left. Actually speaking, those things should be taken out of the study. They are called outliers. Okay, they should not be considered because it is incomplete in nature. Okay, so take care of the data editing process, which is very vital, because this result will have an impact on your final results. The statistical results will definitely be hampered a lot if the data editing is not done properly. That is why we have to clean the data. Okay, this is actually a cleaning of data. Okay, the next one is data coding, which everyone knows it. Data coding is basically a process wherein you assign a number or a symbol, whatsoever maybe, to identify certain things. Because when you take it for SPSS or when you take it for any other software for analysis, okay, we analyze the numbers and not the opinions, because all these opinions are also being numbered. Okay, now I ask a question: how is my session? Good, bad. I may say good for 1 and bad for 0. So I can say, I can see how many 1 and how many zeros. Okay. If I ask it in 5-point scale, do you agree with the session which is being happening? Strongly agree. I like, or I extremely like the session, or I extremely dislike the session. Then it's between 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. It's a 5-point scale which I'm actually asking for. Okay. So data coding can be done in 3 ways. One is numeric coding, alphabetic coding, and zero coding. I'll tell you about what is zero coding. Numeric coding is that when you wanted to, when your variables are either in interval scale or in ratio scale, it is numerical coding, which means you will get a number. For example, what is your age, and what is the mark that you get it, and let's say how satisfied are you with this class. Okay, so all these things are either in interval scale or a ratio scale. So I have to give a pakka number because that number has a value and that will be taken for analysis. And for example, few coding is alphabetic in number. For example, you can see an example here. Yeah, you can see an example. I do a research from a private organization, public organization, government organization, and I collect it from various cities also, Chennai, Delhi, Bangalore, you can see. So I give an alphabetic coding. Private, PT represents private, PB represents public, GO represents government. Okay, now you can see an example down. CHPT 121, which means that respondent is from Chennai and is from private and is the 121st respondent. Okay, so I give a number for explaining this. Okay, so that's an alphabetic coding that I would like to give. And there is something called zero coding. I'll tell you what is zero coding. Sometimes we have a no response. Okay, or we say yes, no, may not be, or maybe something like that, right? So in that case, you can go for, when there is no response, you can have zero as a coding process for no response. I'll give you an example for that. You can see it here. For yes, I'll say 1. For no, I'll say 2. And for no response, I give it as 0. Okay, so that's a zero coding. A coding frame is actually, it has to be developed. Okay, when you start, before starting the analysis, you have to have a coding frame and a coding manual. Okay, wherein you have to specifically say what is this coding frame, what does 1 mean, what does 2 mean, what does 3 mean, because that is what will decide the analysis for you. Okay, because the values have number in the number has a value in terms of interval scale and ratio scale. Okay, so each respondent should be given a code number. Basically, see, for our academic research, we mostly don't give a number for our respondents, but actually we are supposed to do it. But when you do it for a medical science, for example, I'm associated with few medical research. So in medical research, collecting the data is very, very, very sensitive because we collect the personal data of the patients, basically. So we don't ask for the name of the patient. So we give a number or assign a number. Okay, because we have this research ethics policies which are very, very stringent in medical science. But most of us, we belong to social science, so we don't have much problem with collecting the data from the respondents. But in case of medical field, it is not easy. So the respondents' identity should not be revealed. So they should be given a number. That's where this most of the things will apply for them. Okay, so all responses, including don't know or no opinion or no response, should also be coded. We should not leave any of the responses. We should code everything. Even the no response or no opinion, we can take it as 0. Okay, so you can see it here, what is right and what is wrong. In case of nominal scale, yes as 1 and no as 2. That may be better, because if there is no answer is given, then we can mark 0 for no response. Okay, but if you mark yes 1 and no as 0, then it will be a little confusing. Okay, so you can mark either way, yes as 2, no as 1, and 0 for no response. Okay, you can mark that way. And you can see this ordinal scale. This is an order. Low is 1, middle is 2, high is 3. But if you see here, low as 2, middle as 3, and high as 1. There is no order here. So this is a wrong coding, because a wrong coding will not fetch you a proper statistical result. The inference from the statistical procedure will not be right if the coding is not done properly. Okay, can you see this interval scale? The highest positive should always get the highest value. So strongly agree should always be 5 and strongly disagree will always be 1. But in many cases, the researchers today, they use it ulta. They give 1 for strongly agree and 5 for strongly disagree, which is perfectly, which is not right. Okay. Strongly agree should always get 5. Okay. So this is about coding, alphabetic coding, numerical coding. So I now taught you about what is data editing and how do we correct it, and data coding we did it. Okay. Now what is data? Now cleaning is almost over. Now what we do, we transform the normal tables into, we are classifying it. We are going to classify it. Okay. And voluminous data will be classified, will be reduced. Actually, there is, we use this word called data reduction. The data reduction is being done in data classification. For example, we have different ages, correct? Now I want to bring it. How many people are in 18 years of age? How many people are in 20 years of age? How many people are there in 21, 22, 23 years of age? If I do it, that is a tabulation and a classification that we can easily do. Okay. So classification of data, it is basically, it provides a basis for the tabulation. And it also helps us to analyze the data. Okay, you can see it here. Types of classification. This is a simple classification. I want to know the population, how many are rural and how many are urban. Only 2 classifications are there. And if you see this manifold classification, how many teaching staff? In that teaching, how many are male and female? In that non-teaching, how many are male and female? So this is not a simple, this is a one step ahead. And you can see this here, discrete variable. This is what I was referring to. How many families have no children? How many families have 1 children? Because I asked a question, number of children. Some say 1, some say 2, some say 0. Okay. So now I have classified this. I'm doing the classification here. So up to 4 children there are there. And you can see the highest is 23 with number of children as 1. So I can say that from the simple classification, what is the highest? 23 out of the total collected family, 23 families have single child. So I can infer some meaningful data out of it. When I have a range with a lower and a higher, okay, then that is a continuous data. Now say between 10,000 and 20,000, there are 6 families. Between 30,000 and 40,000, there are 15 families. Just give me a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry. So this is about the classification, and this is about the tabulation. That is giving a structure for a data or arranging the data in a form where it can be analyzed. Okay, now you can see here in the year 1971, what was the population? And in that population, how many rural, how many urban, what is the total? This is a complex table because it has more than 1 column. Okay. So classification and tabulation are basically almost the same, but for a small differences. And how a table should be there in your PhD or whatsoever maybe. A table should contain certain components. Number 1, it should have the title very clearly. And it should also have the unit values. For example, when you say the financial figures, it should be profit in terms of rupees, in terms of dollars, or in terms of thousands of rupees, something like that. Okay, it must have the unit value. If you say in terms of population, it is in terms the unit is per person. Okay, if you say for example, what is it, per capita income, is it measured in terms of rupees or in terms of dollars? That measurement unit should be there. Number 2, you should have a caption: population, rural, urban, and total. These are the headings. Okay. And you can see here, stub, they call it as a row heading. Okay. What is the census year that we actually, and this is the main body, which has the number of rural, urban, and total. Okay. And end note, if it is, for example, you are rounding it off to the next nearest tens or nearest thousands or nearest hundreds. Okay. If you are rounding off, okay, that end note should be there. And the source from which, or from where you have collected. Is it your primary data, or is it borrowed from some area. Okay, so any table should have all these aspects. And I'll say a few guidelines for a good tabulation. A good table must be really simple, but must be specific and clear. That's very important. And the title, when we read it, it should be self-explanatory, because it should not be, you should not have ambiguous in that. Okay, and rows and columns should be properly mentioned, and the table alignment should also not be so narrow or so wide. Okay, and units of measurement, as I said, it has to be properly mentioned, and the column figure should be properly aligned. Sometimes left alignment, sometimes central alignment, sometimes right alignment. Okay, the alignment and the decimal points. Probably, I normally suggest 3 decimal points every time when you do your research. Okay, up to 3 decimal points you can have a as a standard thing. Okay, because in some tables you have only 1 decimal, and in the some tables you have 2 decimals. No, that's not right. So maintain a uniformity, maintain a standardness. Okay, so these things are the data tabulation. So I taught you about data editing, data coding, data classification, and data tabulation. These are the 4 main aspects of the preparing the data for analysis. So once all these things are done, the Excel is pakka. Okay, then you can take this Excel sheet for further analysis, because that will yield a better result. Okay, so in that, I want to speak about the reliability, because we saw validity at the earlier stage, right? Now I'll speak about reliability. What is reliability? Reliability actually refers to the consistency of measurement. Okay, if I measure it time and again over a period of time, my results should not vary much. Okay, and all of us would have gone through this word called Cronbach alpha, isn't it? In our PhD work, Cronbach alpha. Today I have, I wanted to touch upon this reliability test. There are 3 types of reliability test. 1, across the time. Number 2, across the items. When I say items, it is the variables in the study which I am considering. Number 3, across the different researches. Okay, we mostly go with Cronbach alpha to test the internal consistency. That is, whether there is a reliability among the variables, it is there or not. That is where this Cronbach alpha coefficient is being used. But if you use a questionnaire 6 months before, and if you want to use the same questionnaire 6 months after, and if you want to know the reliability of that questionnaire before and after, okay, then you should use coefficient of stability. Okay, or you can use Carl Pearson's correlation coefficient. And across different researchers, for example, the same questionnaire is being used in US, or is being used in Russia, or is being used in India. How is that results vary? Okay, for that we can go for a product moment correlation, which is technically called as Carl Pearson's correlation coefficient, or kappa. Okay, so there are various measures, but our academic, we are more fond of this Cronbach alpha coefficient of reliability, right? That is only to check the internal consistency of the variables. The value closer to 1 indicates that it is more reliable. So any value more than 0.7 is acceptable. Okay, less than 0.7 is not acceptable. Okay, and what we test in Cronbach alpha is only the internal consistency. Okay, across items. When I say across items, it is across the variables. Okay, so that is about reliability. And I was speaking about normality at the other time. I was saying that your interval and ratio scales, they are called as numerical or measured scales, right? I told you that parametric test can be applied. What is that parametric test? There are certain assumptions, or there are certain parameters which are to be satisfied or fulfilled, and only then we can go with that test. And one main condition or parameter is that your data should be normally distributed. So only when your data is normally distributed, then you can apply all the parametric tests. What are the parametric tests? I have given you some examples. Carl Pearson's correlation coefficient, factor, cluster, regression. We have t-test, we have f-test, which is technically called as ANOVA, multiple regression, structural equation modeling. All these things are parametric test. Basic condition is that it must satisfy the normality test. What is normality? Very simple. See, these are the assumptions. It should be normally distributed. It should be numerical and measurable. It should be independent of each other, and there should be homogeneity of variance. And the very most important is the first one, which is normal distribution of a curve. You know that this is the normal curve. Okay, to the left is 0.5, to the right is 0.5. The total area is 1. Okay, if your data is normally distributed, you will get a table like this. If your data is not normally distributed, or we call that as asymmetry. Okay, this is symmetry. Symmetrical means exactly this side 0.5, that side 0.5. Total area is 1. See this left side, it is not symmetry, it is asymmetry. See this is not symmetry, this is asymmetry, or we call it as skewed distribution. Okay, this is a negatively skewed, this is a positively skewed. Okay, so if that is the case, then you cannot apply parametric test because normality is not there. How to check the normality? In SPSS, we can easily check the skewness value, but there are three, manually, if you want to do, you have three formulas. One is Carl Pearson's coefficient, which speaks about the 3 mean minus 3 median divided by standard deviation, or we have mean minus mode by standard deviation. That is one formula. And we have Bowley's coefficient of skewness. It speaks about the quartiles, okay, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Q3, that is third quartile, plus the first quartile, minus 2 median. Q2 is your median, divided by Q3 minus Q1. That is one formula that you can use it. Or you can use Kelly's coefficient of skewness, which speaks about the deciles. Deciles means 10, 10. Okay. So D9 is 9th decile plus D1 is first decile minus 2 median divided by D9 minus D1. So there are three ways in which you can do it. And in SPSS, I believe SPSS runs on Bowley's coefficient of skewness. I believe so. I'm not sure about it. If anyone is sure about it, you can correct me. But to my knowledge, the SPSS runs on Bowley's coefficient of skewness. It takes the quartiles into consideration. More or less, all values will be similar, but for a small change. Okay. So this is about skewedness. Okay. You can see it here. It's 0.105, which means, see, in skew, if the data is pakka, that is normal in nature, then your skewness will be 0. But technically speaking, you will not get a pakka normal curve, which means skewness as 0 will not be there. So the skewness between -1 to +1, if your skewness is between -1 to +1, then it can be considered as near normal. You can assume that your data is normally distributed, because you will not have a chance to get pakka 0 as skewness level, which means a perfect normality. You will not get it. In practical sense, it is not possible. Okay. So between -1 to +1, if your skewness is ranged, then you can consider that as a near normal, and you can say that your distribution is normally distributed, and you can apply parametric test. Okay. And we know now what is normality. What is the shape of my normal curve? There are three types of normal curve, which we speak about. The next one is called kurtosis or kurtosis. Okay. So if you see this long one, okay, this is leptokurtic curve, which means the distribution is very small. For example, I'll give you an example. Let's say your class marks is between 40 to 60. So all the 50 or 60 students in your class are ranged between 40 to 60 marks. This is, let's say, 40. This is, let's say, 60. They are between 40 to 60. So yours will be a little taller one. Okay. This is a normal one, mesokurtic curve. Let's say, for example, your students' marks are ranging between 40 to 7, say 40 to 70. Okay. This is mesokurtic, between 40 to 70. Okay. The distribution is much higher because here it is 40 to 60. Now let's say this is 35 to 70. Assume that 35 to 70. And if your students' marks ranges from 10 to 90, it will be more flat. The curve will be more flat. That's why it's called plateaukurtic or platykurtic. Okay. So kurtosis basically speaks about the shape of the normal curve. It may either be leptokurtic or mesokurtic or plateaukurtic. Okay. So that is about the kurtosis. And hypothesis testing. See, in inferential statistics, this is the basic procedure. Number one, frame the hypothesis. Okay. Mention what is null hypothesis, what is alternative hypothesis. Then choose the significance level. What is significance level? 5% is what we normally call it as a significance level. What is 5%? The contrary of that. That is 95% is the confidence level with which we say. Okay. So significance level means the probability of our answer being wrong. Okay. To the extent of 5%, which means on the contrary, we say the answer may be right up to 95%. That is a significance level. Then decide what is the suitable statistical technique that we need to use, whether should we use for T test or F test or Z test or whatsoever test. Okay. Then computation and then finally interpreting, whether the calculated value or table value in case of manual. And if you are doing it in SPSS, we have one single value called P value. If that P value is less than 0.05, then our null hypothesis is rejected. If it is more than 0.05, then our null hypothesis is accepted. Okay. So this is the procedure of testing. And I don't want to take much time because that's not, the other slides were just for your understanding. So I'll leave it to you. Yeah. These are some of the very good textbooks. See, I tell you again, as I said in the starting, a strong understanding on the research methodology will make our statistics much easier than what we think. Okay. So these are some of the very good books that you can, that I can suggest and recommend. The first one is actually my Bible. Okay. Methodology of Research in Social Sciences. It's written by Dr. O.R. Krishnaswamy and M. Ranganathan. And of course, we have the C.R. Kothari sir's methodology book. And this is Research Methods for Business by Dr. Uma Segaran. This is again one of the fantastic textbooks. And this is a very simple book for understanding SPSS by Ajay and Sanjay Gaur, which is an Indian version of it. And these are some of the good books which I would strongly recommend. So in data preparation, we edit, code, classify, tabulate, okay, statistically adjust the data, and then we do the analysis. Thank you so much for the patience listening. I wind up here. I'm ready to take questions, if any.
Participants, you can ask questions directly to sir. You can unmute yourself and you can ask questions. Sir, some questions
Hello,
are there in the chat box also, sir.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it, ma'am.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Sir, I have one question. You said there is possibilities for measuring skewness, right?
Yeah.
So is there any same options are available to measure kurtosis as well? And what
Yeah,
is
of course, we do have it in SPSS. We do have it, sir. Yes, sir.
And what is the acceptable range for kurtosis, sir?
I would say -2 to +2 is much better, I would say.
So for if a data set has to be considered as normally distributed, it has to have
For normal distribution, it is -1 to +1, sir.
Okay.
And for kurtosis, see, kurtosis actually will tell you the shape of the curve, but that have no bearing on your analysis, because
so
kurtosis is
will consider only skewness for whether to say it is normal or not.
Yes,
Kurtosis does
sir.
not affect whether it is normally distributed or not.
It doesn't.
So what is the impact of kurtosis in your data set?
Actually, the aim of doing the kurtosis is for us to know what kind of a distribution that we have. Just to understand,
Okay.
and to know the shape of the curve, how far it is distributed. Say, as I said, if your marks is ranging between 10 to 90 or 95, then we can say that we have so much of data points across our distribution. So just to understand how our distribution has distributed, and as I said, if it is between 40 to 60, I can say that all the people are ranging somewhere between 40 to 60, which means that they are all closely associated.
Okay.
So that's just for our understanding of the shape of the curve.
Thank you, sir. A follow-up question.
Yeah.
Say the kurtosis is not -1 to +1. Let's say it is in plus 1.5 or -1.5. Is it possible to correct or normalize the data by deleting outliers, or how do we do that?
Yes. We do have a procedure, sir. Actually, when we, this is again a very, very important question. Thank you for asking. Actually, once we prepare this data, I don't start analyzing. I first check out for the outliers. I take out the extreme left, that is, which is a low value, and extreme high value, in SPSS, there is an option which will tell you the highest 5, low and lowest 5 cases, which will hamper, which will not make your data normal. So I'll identify them and I'll then remove from my study, so that now my data is near normal, so that I can go for a parametric. That is the reason why we say we have to go for a larger scale of data collection, because when we prepare our data, there are some extreme cases like this, which may be or which should be removed out of our study. So it is always better to go for a higher number of responses, so that we avoid all these things. Because if you collect only 200 samples or 300 samples, and if you want to take 30 out of that, then that is really going to, the data sample size is going to affect your study. But if you collect some 500 above, for example, then probably that you are in a comfortable position, wherein even if you remove the extreme cases, in order to identify the normality, you are not in a position, the data is not inadequate. The data is still adequate.
Thank you, sir. I think that answered my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Am I audible, sir? Good evening.
Yes, sir. Very much audible, sir.
Actually, sir, like, is these reliability and all applicable for secondary data? For example, like it is like ratio analysis. When we are performing the ratio analysis, secondary data, when it comes to the primary data, we can apply, we can clean the data, we can validate the data. But when it comes to the secondary data, the reports will be generated by the ProBase capital line database. I feel there is no need to go with the. Please throw a light up on it, sir.
Okay. Basically, see, even this is a very important question. See, when you collect it in first hand, you have the control over your data. But when you collect it in second hand, which is the source is not yours, then probably I think you cannot bend and mend the data. Okay. So probably I think these things may not be applicable. That is actually one of the main shortcomings of a secondary data, because you may not get in the form that you may expect. For example, sometimes we need it in terms of rupees, but you may have it in terms of dollars. For example, oil price or something like that. Then or any other, and in that case, I think definitely this reliability or this normality will not be applicable for a secondary data, because it's not your data, it's not in your control. You only access the data and you use it. So I think that may not be possible, sir.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, it's regarding the Likert scale, that which you spoke about, a 5-point rating scale. So
Yes.
you told that I strongly agree, means it should have a 5-point. Is it up if supposing the question is in a negative statement, then will the rating change?
Yes, ma'am. You can reverse it.
Is it? Yes, sir. That's my question.
Yes, ma'am. You can reverse it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. If it is a negative statement, yes, it has to be reversed.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Sir, you told Cronbach's alpha anything 0.70 above, it is accepted. Some people say that above 0.5 is also accepted. How can we interpret that, sir?
Okay. Sir, okay, fine. Thank you, sir. Thank you for asking this question.
Yes, sir.
See, sir, in terms of normality or in terms of Cronbach alpha or in terms of any other value for that matter, see, this is statistics. My professor used to tell me, there is only rule of thumb. We used to say this as rule of thumb. There is no hard and fast rule. Okay. So widely accepted is 0.7. But 0.5 is a little tricky area, because you are in a little danger zone, I would say. But some, again, yes, as you said, some say, if it is more than 0.5, it is enough, is what somebody, some people also say that. So again, it's a very tricky question. It's up to the researcher, but in my light of, in my experience, I would say 0.7 is much better. Again, if for that matter, if you take this sample size, normally people say, if you see this Uma Segaran's textbook, it is a beautiful textbook that everyone has to read. She says for a population of 10 lakh, 384 is the ideal sample size. But the 384, how did you collect? Matters a lot. For example, I do a study in Chennai. Okay, so I have to cover all the parts of Chennai to collect it from 384. Now let's say I am located in South Chennai and I collect 500 sample, and if I say that this is the opinion of entire Chennai, this is not right. So even if I collect a long or a big number of data, if it doesn't ensure the representativeness. Okay, so similar manner, there is only a hard and fast rule. It is all about the rule of thumb. So it is not about being right or being wrong. It is about how close we are to the answer. I think that answers your question, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir. I have a query regarding the costing. So usually when we talk about the costing and all, secondary data is majorly used.
Yes, sir.
But my scholar is performing like he is doing on costing using a primary data. Like he included employee, he included the cost management techniques and all. So whether we can go with the correlation regression techniques with the help of questionnaire data.
For a primary, yes, we can go with the parametric techniques. But if he's merging this primary and the secondary data, I think that is not a right way of doing the analysis.
No, sir, he is completely doing on a primary data because secondary data we cannot get. The confidential information will not revealed by the officials. So financial statement they won't provide. Only based upon the primary data with the help of questionnaires. Sir, and one more thing, what is the ideal size of the statements in a questionnaire?
Okay, again I leave. See, it is up to it is based on what study that we do. Is all the variables, whatever that you have considered for your study, will it answer your objectives of the study? Even if 10 variables are answering the entire objectives of your study, then it is okay. But even if 200 variables are there or 200 questions are there, and if it is not answering your objective of the study, then it is not enough. So again, it all depends. In this regard, I would like to say one thing, which my professor normally used to say. See, my professor, he used to say it in Tamil. Probably we have this spider, right? We call that as ettukal puchi, which means it's an 8-legged this thing. So LKG kid used to, there are some LKG kids and teacher is asking how many legs are there. And some kids say that a spider has 10 legs. Some kids said it has 200 legs and some said it has 3 legs. And the kid which said 10 was actually given a chocolate. And the next day the parent came and asked to see the spider has a 8 leg. And how do you say, my kid has said it as 10 and you have given a chocolate. You are wrongly, you're not educating my child rightly. Then the teacher said, no, among all the answers, 10 was closer to 8. So that's why I see statistics is the study of approximation. Please understand, sir. Statistics is the study of approximation. Mathematics is the study of accuracy. So there is no hard and fast rule for few things, because as I said, it is about rule of thumb. So for primary data, yes, sir, we can use the quantitative or parametric test as your researcher is doing it. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
No question, Professor. You have made a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
All the best. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, all the participants.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sir. Yes, yes. Any questions?
Sir, I have a query. Actually, if the population size is 40, so what will be the exact sample size for that 40, sir?
You can refer that Uma Segaran's textbook, sir. It is also available in Google. If you type statistical calculator, okay, or if you type that sample size estimator table.
Yes, sir, because population itself is 40. That's the reason. 40 is the population.
Then obviously you should have more sample size. The lesser
Oh.
the population, the more the sample. The more the population, the lesser the sample.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your valuable insight.
Thank you, sir. Yes, I'll share the recordings to the resource person, means to the organizers, so that you can have a session. Thank you so much.
The rest, if you have any queries, you can pass it to our organizers so that we can send it to Vijay Narayan sir through mail. Thank you so much, Vijay Narayan sir, for your patiently answering all the queries and a wonderful presentation. It's a very clear presentation. Almost everybody appreciated and they wanted to share your PPT. Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you so much, ma'am. Thank you. After a long time, I think I am coming in online for a presentation. Thank you so much for giving an opportunity. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you. As we draw near to the conclusion of our faculty development program, I would like to invite Dr. Prakash, Assistant Professor of Commerce, to deliver a vote of thanks. Prakash, sir.
Thank you. Very good evening, all. On behalf of the PG and Research Department of Commerce, Shipment, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to all the dignitaries and attendees who have helped to make today's International Faculty Development Program on the topic of advanced technique in research methodology a huge success. We would like to extend our sincere gratitude to Director and Secretary Brother A. Stanislaus, our esteemed Academic Director Dr. Fatima Vasant ma'am, our esteemed Principal Dr. Arakimiri Itarukas ma'am, Vice Principal Dr. Anantapaya ma'am, and HOD Dr. D. Unica ma'am for their continuous support and encouragement. We especially thank the program conveners, Dr. T. Vaidegi ma'am and Dr. Chelama ma'am for their hard work and careful planning in putting together this insightful session. Our sincere gratitude goes to our esteemed resource person, Dr. A.G. Vijayanaran sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, T.T. Vaishnav College, for sharing invaluable insights on the topic preparing data for analysis. Your expertise has been an instrumental in enhancing our understanding, sir. Thanks for us. Last but not least, I thank all the participants for their great engagement and participation. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
Dear participants, feedback link is posted in the meeting. So please kindly post your feedback.
Ma'am, feedback link is not opening for others.
Not
It's
opening,
asking for
ma'am.
permission.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's asking for permission, ma'am.
It requires need permission.
Chelaman
yes,
ma'am,
ma'am.
just remove the Patrician College. By then, on behalf of the
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I
organization
will do it, ma'am.
and behalf of organization and participants, Vijay Narayan sir, thank you, wonderful. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. Yeah, thank you. Participant, please do stay in the platform so that you can fill the feedback.
Yeah, we'll rectify and the permission will be open for you all. Kindly fill your feedback form for day one before leaving the platform, dear professors, faculty members, and research scholars. We thank once again for your wonderful response. Thank you so much. And tomorrow is day two. Thank you. Thank you all. Kindly wait.
Ma'am, please check.
Ma'am, will this be counted as the attendance for?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. It is now working.
Feedback link will be posted in the groups. I mean, in the meeting. You can, if you fill daily, you will get a certificate, e-certificate on the last date, sir.
Dear members, kindly check the form. It's open now. Kindly fill the feedback form. Definitely, as per the request, we will share the PPT and also the recording video by taking permission from the resource person. Hello,
Ma'am?
Mika ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am?
Yes, Vaideki ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can we wind up the session, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So, dear participants, Vaidegi signing off for today's FTP day 1. We'll meet tomorrow for day 2 session. Thank you all.
Again, the feedback link is posted in the chat box. Please go through it, participants.
Kindly find the feedback link in the chat box and fill it up.
Ma'am, shall we wind up the session?
Hello, good evening, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Ma'am, when I'm filling the form, so what is the rank of the source person? So what should we write there? Hello.
We have given the options, right?
So those options means that he is the first lecturer, or we should give rank to him, that how was the quality of the lecture?
Hello, Professor. Actually, the ranking is based on the quality of the lecture. 1 being the
5
lowest, 5 being the
represents
highest.
highest, sir. 5 represents highest, and you are highly satisfied with lecture.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.